Hi guys, welcome back to the home and Homestead. My name is Rebecca, and today on the Homestead we'll be doing part 8 of a multi-part series of hearty soups and rustic breads. And for today we will be making Hawaiian rolls, or a sweet dinner roll. These also work wonderful for slider buns, for slider hamburgers, or sandwiches. I'll be altering this recipe slightly so that it'll be a no egg or egg-free Hawaiian roll, and I'll show you how you can use different ingredients to make an equivalent to an egg in a recipe. So if you have egg allergies, sensitivities, or dietary restrictions, you can make a delicious sweet dinner roll or slider bun without needing to use an egg. So follow along and see how we make these delicious and sweet Hawaiian rolls. Alright, so first what we need to do for the Hawaiian rolls recipe is we need to get our wet ingredients ready. So for this we will need 1 cup of buttermilk. If you do not have buttermilk, you can simply take 1 cup of milk and add 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. So I'll add 1 tablespoon of white vinegar to this 1 cup of milk, and I'll stir it together. And we'll set this off to the side for about 10 minutes. Next, what we'll need to do is make our egg equivalents. So I'll be using chia seeds as well as flaxseed. That's ground flaxseed. And these are great substitutes for eggs. If you do not have a dietary restriction and wish to make this recipe with eggs, it will call for 2 eggs. So in order to make an egg equivalent from chia seeds, you'll take 1 tablespoon of the chia seeds to 3 tablespoons of water. I have 3 tablespoons of water in this little dish already. So I'll add 1 tablespoon of the chia seed, and that's called a chia egg once it solidifies. Now for the ground flaxseed, it's the same ratio, 1 tablespoon of flaxseed to 3 tablespoons of water. And we just simply mix these together. We'll let this sit for about 5 minutes. What this does is the flaxseed and the chia seeds, it'll absorb some of that water and have kind of a gelatinous consistency, and it'll be a great substitute for egg in a recipe. So we'll set those off to the side. Next we'll need a 1/2 cup of simple syrup, or if you canned with me and made the canned pears, the syrup from the canned pears makes a delicious sweet addition to this recipe. So if you happen to be canning pears already, that's a good use for the juice that your pears are in. So in this measuring cup I have a 1/2 cup of water, and I'll add 1/8 cup of sugar. We'll just mix the sugar until dissolved, and now we've made a simple syrup. Okay, we'll set that aside. Now let's work on our dry ingredients. So in this large mixing bowl I have 4 cups of flour. This is an all-purpose flour. And then in this small bowl I have 1 cup of flour. This recipe calls from between 4 to 5 cups of flour. That depends on your moisture content of your flour and the environment, and depending on if you're using eggs or an egg substitute. So I like to start with 4 cups. I can always add more flour. To this I will add 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/3 cup of brown sugar. If you find that your brown sugar is really hard in the pantry and you feel like you can't use it, check out my video on how to soften brown sugar, and it's a really easy way to give life back to your brown sugar so you don't waste it. You can use it in recipes. Also, if you find that you're out of brown sugar or you don't quite have enough for a recipe, you can check out that same video on how to soften brown sugar, and I give a really easy recipe to make homemade brown sugar. Okay, so we'll set this off to the side and wait for our wet ingredients to be ready. Alright, so it's been about 10 minutes for the buttermilk. So we'll add a 1/2 stick or 1/4 cup of butter, and then to this we will add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Mix this in a little bit. And now I'll put this buttermilk with the butter into the microwave for about 20 to 30 seconds just to get this warm and to melt the butter a little bit. Alright, so the buttermilk with the vanilla and the butter is slightly warmed and the butter is a little bit melted. Now we'll go back to the simple syrup. So what we're going to do is microwave this as well for about 30 seconds. We're shooting for a temperature of 110 degrees. So take our thermometer here and double check the temperature. Good. We're looking for that temperature because we're going to add the yeast to the simple syrup that we created. So you'll add 2 1/4 teaspoons if you use yeast in bulk, or you can use 1 packet. That's the active yeast. We'll mix that together. And we'll set this off to the side and let that yeast bloom. That usually takes about 5 minutes. Alright, so our yeast has been blooming for about 5 minutes, has a nice thick froth on top. Our chia seed and flaxseed eggs, or chia egg and flax egg, are ready to go as well. They're nice and thickened and kind of a gelatinous consistency for both of them. So each of these containers is equivalent to 1 egg. And our buttermilk with the vanilla and butter is ready to go. So now we'll just add all of our wet ingredients into our dry ingredients. And I will just mix this all together. This will make kind of a shaggy dough once it's mixed together. And I really like adding the chia seeds and the flax seeds because it gives these sweet dinner rolls or Hawaiian rolls a nice little crunch to them and a little texture. The Danish whisk here works really well for something like this. So it's kind of a shaggy dough. Now let's get this onto a floured surface because we're going to knead this for a while. So on a nice floured surface, we're going to turn out this Hawaiian roll dough here. Remember, I said between 4 to 5 cups of flour. So this is when you can add more of that flour and you find it to be too sticky. We're going to knead this for about 10 minutes. If you don't want to knead your dough, you can put this in your KitchenAid stand mixer with the dough hook on and knead it that way for about 10 minutes. We're going to knead it until we get a nice smooth dough. Here we are. We've been kneading this for 10 minutes. It's a nice, smooth and soft dough ball. So what we're going to do is put this back into our mixing bowl. First, I'll spray it with a nice neutral oil. This is avocado oil spray. Works very well for this. I like to spray the top as well. Now we're just simply going to cover this with the towel and let this rise for about 30 minutes to an hour. And I ended up using about 3/4 of a cup of the reserve cup I had off to the side. So this dough took about 4 3/4 cups of flour. Alright, so the Hawaiian roll dough has been rising for a little over an hour and it has doubled in size here. So what we're going to do is portion this off and make our Hawaiian rolls. So I have a little bowl scraper here. This works nice to just kind of go into the dough and cut off a portion. And make it into our little roll shape. You can also just pinch off a portion of the dough with your fingers, kind of tear it off, kind of squeeze it, and you can go to the bottom and kind of pinch all the different ends together. You can have them separated just a little bit, or you can have them touching. They're going to rise in this pan for another half hour to an hour. Kind of tuck the sides under. We're going to let these Hawaiian rolls rise for another half hour to an hour, like I said. They're going to get larger than this, so they're double in size again. And I'm trying to make some nice sized dinner rolls, or something that I can use for a slider roll. So for a small sandwich or hamburger slider type of a roll. And these freeze wonderfully. So you can make ahead, use what you want, and then freeze the rest. That's after they're baked. And what I do is I just take them out of the freezer, and from frozen, I put them in the microwave for about 30 seconds, and then they heat up, and they're just like they came out of the oven. This recipe makes about a dozen nice-sized dinner rolls or slider rolls. If you want to make a smaller roll, then certainly it would make more. If you wanted a smaller roll, you could start with the size portioned out of more of like a golf ball, and then they would rise, to about this size and bake up a little bit larger than that. That'd be just real small little dinner rolls then. So let me place this here. We'll cover it again with the towel. We'll let these rise for another half hour to an hour. Okay guys, so these Hawaiian rolls have been rising for a little over an hour. I'd say they've just about doubled in size. I have the oven preheated to 375 degrees. So I'll bake these between 20 to 25 minutes until they have a nice golden brown color on top. So I'll start them at 20 minutes and then check them and see how they're looking. Alright, so the Hawaiian rolls are finished. They took 20 minutes. They're nice and golden brown. I probably could have even taken them out at 15 minutes. They have a nice color and shape to them, and they expanded even larger in the oven while they baked. So we'll let these cool slightly, and we'll take a closer look and a taste. Okay, here are our fresh homemade Hawaiian rolls. These are a really delicious sweet dinner roll, but you can also use these for slider buns, for little slider sandwiches or hamburgers, and that's the size that I made today for a nice sized dinner roll or slider roll. Let's take a closer look here. You can see the little specks of flaxseed and chia seeds in there. Open this up here. It has a nice soft center and a slightly crispy outside. It really held its shape nice. Really delicious. So now you can store these as I have today. I have a 10-inch USA pan, a circular cake pan, and then a 10-inch glass dome. And this helps keep them nice and soft until you're ready to serve. And then if you have any left, they will keep on the counter for a few days like that as well. You can also put these in a Ziploc bag or airtight container in the refrigerator, and these, as I mentioned earlier, they freeze wonderfully at this point. Just let them cool completely, and you can put them into a Ziploc bag or a freezer storage bag, and you can just take out as needed, pop them in the microwave for about 30 seconds from frozen, and they're soft and delicious just like they came out of the oven. These would go wonderful with any of the hearty soups that I presented in the Hearty Soups and Rustic Bread series. In particular, the vegetable potage would be really wonderful. These rolls have that little bit of sweetness like you would expect in a Hawaiian roll, and they're really nice with a soup or salad. And again, this recipe I adapted today so that it is a no egg or egg-free recipe. So if you have an egg allergy, dietary restriction, or sensitivity to eggs, you can make these really delicious rolls without eggs. You can also check out a video I have on a no-egg chocolate muffin, which I also added zucchini into. That recipe can be made with or without the zucchini to wonderful results. And again, that has no eggs in it. If you do not have an allergy to eggs and you wanted to make this recipe as well, just simply use 2 eggs. That's what the breakdown was. I did a chia seed and a flax seed egg equivalent today, so I made a chia egg and a flax egg. But it's nice to have that option of recipes if you have a friend or family member or a guest who's coming over for dinner, and you know that you can make a delicious sweet dinner roll or slider bun that they can enjoy as well. Well, I hope you're having a fantastic day, and if you're new to the channel, I would surely appreciate you subscribing, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out some other videos I have. There may be something else that you are interested in as well. And if you enjoyed this particular video, please give it a thumbs up. See you next time. Take care.